All right, I'm going to introduce our speakers today. By the way, my name is Michelle Russell. Iva Michelle Russell. Got to be correct in this. Ever since 9/11, you got to use your real name. I'm Iva Michelle Russell. I've been asked to MC this event, this Second Amendment rally. I was very thrilled to be asked, by the way. I was brought up by a right-wing extremist, and I'm proud to carry on the tradition. So thank you so much for that honor. But this event is about Monteagle VFWs and the veterans that serve on the board, about their concern for the issues that are coming down the pike from Washington. It occurred at a March board meeting, I believe, is the information that I received. The veterans had heard that they were getting letters from the federal government. If you had gone to the Veterans Administration and had a special code assigned to you, you, with a click of a mouse, will have your arms taken away from you. That's the bottom line. So our board members said, you know what, that ain't right. So if it can take away from the veterans, if we can take away guns from our veterans who have served us proudly, the citizens are next. And every single one of us in this room should be concerned, because I'm pretty darn sure to come out in this rain, we feel pretty strongly about our guns. Am I right? Am I saying amen? All right. Supporting the veterans of foreign war and our young people coming back from war is probably one of our most important missions that we could possibly do here locally and in the state, in this country for that matter. So we're very proud to be supportive of the Monteagle VFW and the Ladies Auxiliary. You can't forget the Ladies Auxiliary. Patsy, thank you so much for the food. She's got a plate lunch, I believe. How much? $8? $8 donation. Give 10, give 20, whatever you all want to do. It's called Pass the Hat. But we appreciate the Ladies Auxiliary for all that they do. Thank you so much. All right. There's a couple of technicalities that I need to get through. My dad is a historian, and it's very, very important to realize the history of our laws and the intent of our founding fathers and the things that have happened in our history to get where we're at. So he just wanted to remind everyone that where we stand today, there are two threats to gun ownership. Regulation of the manufacture and sale of firearms and ammunition using the Commerce Clause of the U.S. Constitution. The second one is regulating the who can bear arms. The who is a state police power function and not a constitutional power granted to the federal government. I guess we'll find out a little bit later on that one. Now, the right to bear arms. At the founding of the Republic, the English common law incorporated into state law and state constitution. The right to bear arms was an enumerated right in the English Bill of Rights. That right was subject to reasonable regulation. That right was considered a God-given right of all free men, which were necessary for self-defense. Adoption of U.S. Constitution of limited and enumerated powers contingent on adopting a Bill of Rights equals similar to the English rights and covered the abuses the colonists suffered under the English king. The Bill of Rights were a grant of rights, but prohibited the newly created federal government from interfering with those enumerated rights, and explicitly stated in the 9th and 10th Amendments that all powers not granted to the federal government nor prohibited to the states were retained by the states and the people. The Second Amendment prohibited the federal government from interfering with the right to bear arms and referenced a regulated militia. Now, the U.S. Supreme Court did not interfere until 1939, U.S. versus Miller. The Supreme Court ruled that the Second Amendment only protects guns suitable for a well-regulated militia. For example, sawed-off shotguns can be banned because they're not ordinary military equipment. The Supreme Court ruled in the 2008 case called District of Columbia versus Heller, remember this one fondly, that the Second Amendment does not define an individual right to gun ownership, as opposed to a collective right for a state-run and state-armed National Guard. Now, the issue with regulating the who can bear arms. Once again, this is a license. This is who can. Tennessee has what many consider a lenient attitude toward the right to bear arms, but the Tennessee law on weapons make it illegal to carry a weapon for purposes of going armed. It gives the police the unlimited power to determine intent. The most recent ATF gun trace report for Tennessee shows that in 2011, less than 20%, 803 out of 4,110 trace requests were guns recovered as a result of criminal activity. Only 20% were confiscated for criminal activity. Now, the veterans at risk. The Veterans Administration has supplied the federal database with over 114,000 names of veterans to the ATF database of prohibited persons. 114,000 veterans should not own guns. Obama, by administrative action, is including mental health records into the database and will require doctors to include gun ownership of patients as a part of the Obamacare database. And I'm sure we may hear a little bit more about that coming from a doctor. The medical codes, and anybody who has ever been in the medical profession, anybody here have any experience? When you code someone, and correct me if I'm wrong, you code it, it's a click of the mouse, and you pull all the codes for someone. And if that is a executive action, you can say all of these codes through administrative bureaucratic protocol can just say, okay, that's no, you can't own a gun. I mean, it's just that simple. And that's against the law, against constitutional law. So, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, as I said, earlier. I'm a product of my raising, and I see that Maria's here with her kids. Who else has brought their kids? Man, that's awesome. See, that's where it starts. We can talk all day long, but if we're not teaching our youngins safety, personal responsibility, and making sure that you love God in this country, we're in for a world of hurting. And I really want to make it very, very, very clear. I know I've said Republican how many times? 5, 6, 7 times, and I'm so sorry. I really am. This issue transcends politics. It just seems to be if the Democratic Party would talk about gun rights, man, I'd be a Democrat, but it's just not happening. So anyway, I apologize for the partisan politics. It seems to me that the constitutional conservatives seem to be navigating and running for office under the Republican ticket. So you show me a different party that does that, I'll support them. So I don't want to make this about party politics, because it's not. It's about education. It's about educating our young people. It's about making sure that we have a line in the sand and we say, okay, you know what, that's it. That's it now. Now let's start getting serious. And so we're going to have to secure our borders. I've watched 12 hours of the Walking Dead series, so I feel very comfortable in any kind of apocalypse that happens. But before I go, we keep on saying it's about the young people, and it is. We've got to start educating our youth about the counter-revolution, because it is a counter-revolution. We all have to remember that the 70s radical liberals are the establishment now. Do y'all realize that? All those counterculture people that were counterculturing, if you will, have now become the establishment. They have taken over our White House. They have taken over our government functions. They have taken over our judicial system. They have taken over our schools, and it's a perfect plan. Mayor Monteagle is here. Hello, Mayor Nixon. How are you? You want to say a few words? We've secured our local government. But it's a personal responsibility. You know what? I really want this open. While we have the congressman here, if you have some important points, please come up and say them right now. Because the 10th Amendment rights actually is a very good game plan. I mean, we got to secure our borders. And a world, can you imagine a world war? Okay, anyone else? I'm serious. We're here. I know we got tons of people here who feel very passionately. Bob, you got anything to say? You travel the world. Okay. Is Jake White here? Is Jake here? Can you make it? There's a young man who just did a YouTube video locally that is a veteran, returning veteran, and it's really a neat thing. So we're trying the new media sources. I'm so glad that y'all are here. Let's get this out. And I'm going to close with this. This issue transcends so many issues of life. Our freedom and our liberty is outside the mainstream. I mean, we are not mainstream here anymore. We are not the establishment anymore. This is not our world anymore. And that was a really sad realization to me, is that the way I grew up, I spent every summer on a farm, the way I grew up is not being shared with the next generation. And it We are the outsiders of our own country. We are the outsiders of our own country, and that really, really sends chills up my spine. So the only thing I know to do, and this is how I was raised, is to get involved. And since I've been back home this past 10 years, elections are the way to do it. I hate to say it, but elections do matter. And it's going to take electing people who feel like we do. And in Tennessee, man, we lucked out. We have a supermajority. Now, we have got to make sure that they are securing our borders and making sure that they understand what Congressman Deja, what the people that are up in Washington are telling us. Because the more you know, the more you just want to hide under a rock and go, holy cow, and build a cellar. I mean, seriously, the more you know, the more you're just like, I can't go on. But you got to go on. And you got every day, every single day, you have to say, how am I going to live the fullest? How am I going to treat my fellow man like I would like to be treated? Because the government shouldn't be telling us our freedoms and our responsibilities. We tell our freedoms. We tell each other how to live. And it's a personal responsibility issue. I don't need to call the cop. I need to go to my neighbor's house. That's how it is. We talk to each other. We are a community, and we will fight for our community. So anyway, I'm proud to know y'all. Let's move on. Let's make sure that we secure our own borders. Let's be friends. Let's be neighbors. And let's take care of business and make sure that our young people know the value of freedom. Thank you so much.